as a rookie driver in an F1 car, I think this might be the trickiest situation you could have. Middle of the pack at a street circuit, at the fastest street circuit in Formula One. It doesn't get much harder than that as a testing ground for a new driver, does it?
No, I think if he had the option of driving for Ferrari somewhere, it might not be on this one at the moment. He'd rather have somewhere that was a little bit easier on his neck and everything. I think he did great today. I think he did a really good job. He said himself he had a little bit of a messy kind of Q2 in the middle of it, made a couple of mistakes, but you know, considering he hadn't stepped in the car really until this morning, I think he'd done a fantastic job.
Well, yeah, he would have been preparing before Bahrain for his F2 races. He would have done some laps, I'm sure, at the simulator in Italy in preparation and just doing some simulation runs for Ferrari, but he would have not done anywhere close to what Charles and Carlos would have done. So yeah, I think he done a really good job, and it was quite impressive to see how he handled himself throughout FP3 and through qualifying. And I'm really excited to see how he does in the race.
Yeah, I mean, for all the drivers here in Jeddah, I mean, it's a fantastic circuit. I was fortunate to come the very first year and second year we had it here. I was expecting, from a personal point of view, after the first year, 21. Drivers to get out of the car and say, oh, you know, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this, it's a lot of blind corners here where you have to have faith in the drivers around you and the marshals and everything. They get out of the car and they're like, this is the best, this is just fantastic, because it is so quick here. You know, Max's top speed last year was 342 kilometers an hour through the speed trap. It's quick, and drivers just want to go quick at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's you spoke to Mika earlier, and you mentioned it's like driving through a tunnel, and he agreed with it, didn't he? He said when you're traveling 320 kph average, and with the DRS open even more, then it's really quite claustrophobic, and you don't have much time to react to cars in front. A lot of the corners in the second and third sector, you can't see a huge amount in front of you, and if someone's sitting on an apex, as we saw with in FP2, we saw Logan Sargent run into almost the back of a Mercedes and a Ferrari, and he had to get out of the way pretty quickly. He had to make sure he reacts, and they don't have a lot of time to do it.
No, you don't, and that's where we were talking about, you know, relying and, you know, having faith in the other drivers as well. You know, if they are slowing down, you're not going to see it too much tomorrow in the race, but certainly in qualifying today, where people are backing up to try and create that gap. That's where you have the incidents with Lewis and Charles, you know, and the Williams on there. We are quite elevated. We were talking about that here. That's another thing. It's easy for us, but when they've dropped down and they're no further, they're no higher than the Rolex, you know, signage we've got on the side here, it does make it very difficult.
Yeah, 100%. And another factor the elevation plays the we're sat at right now is you can feel the wind. Now there is going to be an impact of wind, but most of the wind around this track is on sector 2 and sector 3. This isn't much of a factor because the cars are moving so quick. We look at other tracks like Bahrain. We have winds making a big difference at turn 10. It's a bit of a slower speed corner, and it comes from right behind you. So when the wind's coming from behind, it reduces the amount of aero the car is generating, and you can just lose the back end. Thankfully, that's no problem here, but we do have some other challenges in the form of some tricky little slow speed corners and a couple of tricky little chicanes.
Yeah, and it's a street circuit like this, you know, people have compared it not to Monaco in the respect of, you know, the fact that it's tight. Monaco's a much slower speed circuit here than here. You know, in Monaco you would expect to touch. I always used to say that, you know, if my driver hadn't come in after P3 with white marks on the side of the tyres where he's been touching the wall, he's not going fast enough, you know. Here, you can't afford to do that. The walls have a tendency here, because of the speed, you get sucked into them. It's a little bit like Guangzhou today, to a degree. I mean, I think he got a little bit too close on the first apex, a double apex corner, and just backed off a little bit and twisted the car.